Okay, so it was May 2018 that I proclaimed the Grand Seiko SBGA231 to be the master of the Rolex Submariner. It trumps the Submariner, and it trumps it as a heavy use tool watch, not a dress watch, not even an all-around watch. This will not slip under a tight shirt cuff. So if that's what you're looking for, then the thinner Rolex Submariner, the thinner and smaller Rolex Submariner would probably be the better choice. But as a heavy use sport watch, as a diver's watch, this watch has it all over the Rolex Submariner, and I'll tell you why. First of all, look at that clasp. It is so easy to adjust while on wrist. It's robust. This whole watch, the theme is industrial grade, heavy duty, designed for a purpose, a tool. Yet you can see that it's also an attractive watch. And also notice how legible that bezel is, and notice how it's got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 all the way around. Again, very useful. Notice how the points on the end of the hour hand and the minute hand point right to wherever it is, whatever minute you want, right? And extremely legible, large and extremely legible. The whole dial is significantly bigger than the Rolex Submariner. The Rolex Submariner dial, believe it or not, is only about the size of a 36 millimeter Datejust, because it's a 40 millimeter watch, and then you subtract the bezel, and so it's not very big. You see it always in the forums on macro shots like this, but in real life it looks relatively small. And so if you want something that's really legible in all circumstances, you need the larger watch. And there we're looking at a Rolex without the date, which that's an advantage. They don't offer the Grand Seiko without a date, but the date doesn't really bother me. So here you can see them side by side, and you can see how significantly larger the dial is on the Grand Seiko. And the Grand Seiko has more of a matte dial, which again makes it more legible. And so you can see also there on the side views how it is shaped to kind of drape around the wrist, the Grand Seiko, the way the lugs kind of curve there. And you can see how it has softer curves, so it makes it more comfortable on the wrist. It doesn't have the sharp edges of the super case. It's not so super. I prefer the older sub. I had a red sub years ago, and I much prefer that case design. The sub is well made. Sub is more of a piece of jewelry, really, but I'll tell you, there's just too many advantages of the Grand Seiko. First of all, even though it's a larger watch, it's made of the special titanium alloy that Grand Seiko uses that is extremely robust and very comfortable on the wrist. I just can't describe how comfortable the watch is to wear day in and day out. You just have to try it. It's just amazing what they've done with this watch. And the flexibility of the bracelet, a lot of people dunk on this watch and say the bracelet isn't any good. The flexibility of the bracelet and the finishing of it, the way all the edges are rounded and so forth, make it super comfortable on the wrist. You don't want a rigid bracelet on your wrist all day. It's just not the way to go. So this bracelet on the Rolex is a little stiffer, a little more in the way of sharper edges. Same thing with the case and so forth. So the comfort edge absolutely goes to Grand Seiko, and of course the titanium is very light. It's actually a lighter weight watch than the Rolex, even though it's a significantly larger watch. Now again, getting back to the size issue, if you need an all-arounder, if you need something to wear under a shirt cuff all the time, you're going to have to go with the sub, because it is thinner, it is smaller. It can be forced into that, but I would go with a day date if I was doing that anyway. I wouldn't use the sub for dress purposes, but that's just me. So anyway, I just think after 4+ years of wearing the diver, the Grand Seiko diver, that it has an edge. It has an edge over the Grand Seiko. Don't get me even started on the accuracy. My watch is +1 second a month, and I love not having to mess with the time on a watch. I love that. And that's what you have when you have the spring drive extremely accurate. The only time I have to change the time on my watch is daylight savings time. twice a year, once in the fall, once in the spring. I have to change the time because the time changes by an hour. So other than that, it never needs any attention, which is nice. It's just a more of a robust, purpose-built watch. It's kind of like the old Land Rovers, right? They were built for a purpose. They weren't built, they didn't have the quality control, unfortunately, of the Grand Seiko spring drive. They had some oil leak issues and other issues, and also the frames would rust on those. But they were built for a purpose, right? The slab sides, the door handles recessed into the door, just all the little design features of the old Land Rovers. This is sort of like that. This is designed as a heavy-duty tool watch. I mean, look at that lume. And designed to be worn day in and day out in any kind of heavy use scenarios, designed to be comfortable on the wrist, designed to be accurate and robust. Because it doesn't have a escapement mechanism, this watch, the movement can go much longer without a service, probably 50 years, 40, 30, 50 years, something like that, without any kind of a service, because if it did start to slow down, the regulator in there just speeds it up a little bit. And so it has plenty of room for wiggle room there to adjust the timing as it might slow down, 20, 30 years later. So nobody knows how long these will actually go without a service, because I think they've only been out about 25 years, but there are a lot of them out there that are, 20, 25 years old that have never been serviced that are still running great. So all indications are that it'll run indefinitely. And there's the red sub that I actually sold to my friend Paul Faupel. This was a couple years back at one of the Little Treasury events. That's the red sub that I sold to him that I had, 30 years ago or whatever. And see how how it's more curved on the sides, and I much prefer that. And the lug's more curved. I much prefer that case design to the modern subs. So anyway, there's something to think about. Something to think about is the Grand Seiko SBGA231. Is it the ultimate heavy use sport watch, heavy use diver's watch? Just a robust, easy to read watch in any circumstances, in any lighting circumstances. And take it from me, I've got old eyes, and I am often in denial and don't wear my glasses, and so I can still read this in any lighting situation without any glasses, without any reading glasses or anything. Can't do that with a smaller dial. I need this larger dial, and I need the lume and everything that this watch has. So I cleaned it up a little bit before I shot this video, but this is a watch that I wear, so it is what it is. But I just wanted you to see what it's like, and give you some pointers about why this watch is actually far superior. Not even a close call, folks. Far superior. Oh, and by the way, those pins and collars that hold the band together, that's actually an upgrade. That's an upgrade over screws. Screws can sit there and wear that bracelet as the bracelet flexes, because the screws do not move. They don't rotate. They wear against the links, and that's what causes bracelet stretch over time. And also, screws can get they can back out. They can also get fused in there so that they're very hard to get out, and you end up stripping the head, and so that's all kinds of issues. So the pin and collar is actually a much better solution. And once you size this, because it has 4 micro adjustments, once you size it as far as the links go, you'll never have to do that again. All you have to do seasonally, what I do is I adjust the quick adjustments. I just adjust it, in or out, depending on if I'm going into fall, I tighten up the bracelet. In springtime, I loosen it 1 adjustment. So that's real easy to do. So like, comment, and share, and let me know what you think about all of that.